Josh Earl. Joining me this week, very special guest, comedian, podcaster.
Sure.
Anything else you want to add to the
I
list?
don't feel like I deserve podcaster.
You do a podcast.
I do a podcast, but it's just only just.
Anyway, please welcome, it's Damien Power, everyone. Yeah.
Thanks for having me, man.
Well. How you doing?
Yeah, I'm really good. Yeah.
Thanks for doing this. I like it when people reach out and say, "Can I come on?" That's great.
Yeah. It makes things easier. Yeah.
So much easier. So I was just thinking, we've known each other for almost a decade. I'm thinking the first time I saw you was on stage, though, when you were in Skills in Time.
Oh, really? You saw that show?
I saw the very first show when you did at the Brisbane Comedy Festival.
Oh, wow.
Because I kind of knew Henry a little bit.
And it was the one that I was in, obviously.
Yeah.
Yes, right. Because there were two. Yeah. Wow, that's so crazy.
Yeah,
that was the craziest show. Me, Henry Stone, Greg Larson, and Sam Campbell.
Yeah.
Yeah, in a play.
Because I remember...
It's hard to imagine that now, isn't it?
Well, I had a radio show in Melbourne called Lime Champions. We did sketches as well. And I came back and that was my recommendation because you were coming down to Melbourne. I think you were doing it Trades Hall.
Yeah, that's right. We did upstairs at Trades Hall.
Yeah. So I was like, everyone go see Skills in Time. It's really funny. And I tried to explain it and like, there's a bush poet.
That's right. There's bush poetry in it. Yeah.
Trying to tell people from Melbourne, I'll go and see this group from Brisbane. They do bush poetry. It's really funny. Like,
it was such a crazy show. I remember there was a scene where I convinced Greg to give me a head job for advice, and then he gets on his knees and does it, acts it out like this, just obscene, absolutely disturbing. And then he goes, yeah, and he finishes and he's like, yeah, so, and I'm like, oh yeah, follow your dreams, and just walk off.
I also remember at the time because I'd never met Greg, but Henry introduced him and goes, oh yeah, he thinks he might have testicular cancer. And that was my introduction to Greg Larson, and I wasn't sure if it was a bit or not. And then I found out, no, he really did think he did have it.
Yeah, that's right. He went through a phase there. He got hit in the balls really hard by a ball, a tennis ball or something.
He didn't have it. He was fine. Okay, so what we do on this show, we talk through our 4 personal burners. We go career, family, friends, and health, and you choose whatever one you want to start with.
You know what? Because I listened to a couple of episodes and I thought to be different, I feel like I'll start with family.
Yeah, great.
I feel like I've got an interesting family and,
So how many in the family?
Well, there's 4 boys.
Yep.
My parents obviously, and I'm the youngest.
Yeah, youngest. Do you have a role of those, like, in the family? Do you, like, when you all get back together, do you slip into these roles that you grew up with?
Yeah, the role of victim. I don't know. It's a weird dynamic, I guess. I mean, like all families are the same in the sense that they're all different in in a weird way or whatever. I don't think so, I guess. I mean, I guess it's all changed so much, but growing up, I was definitely like the kind of, like, I guess my 2 middle brothers were very, very competitive.
Yep.
And they were very much focused on each other. And then my eldest brother still is very eccentric.
What's the age difference between the 4 of you?
It's 2 all the way up.
Yep.
So it's like 2 gaps. So I'm like 42 now. So it's like 44, 46, 48.
Yeah.
Roughly, like, give or take.
That's pretty close actually in terms of 4 eldest to youngest.
Yeah. We're all still very close, really.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So were you babied at all though by them?
Baby, not baby. No, that's definitely not the word I would use. I mean, it was just like, okay, we're all boys.
Yep.
And it's my dad is obsessed with motorsport. So it's a racing car family. We're obsessed with rugby league. We used to reenact the State of Origin on our knees after we watched it.
Right.
Just to be a prick, my brother Will would say he went for New South Wales just to be fucking different because he's a fucking idiot. And it was just all very physical.
Yeah.
It was just very physical, which, because, that's what.
Well, I grew up with only boys as well.
You would have surely been the same.
I'm the middle, yeah.
And so it was
just go outside, play cricket until tears.
Yeah.
That's what stopped the game. Just tears or the sun going down. And even that didn't really stop it. And then I was the middle one. So it was that thing of constantly just bowling to my older brother.
Right.
and him
right,
just
right.
whacking me around the entire.
Yeah, because you've got to
backyard.
service them kind of thing.
Really
you know what I
was,
mean? Yeah, that's
Yeah.
right.
Was there a brother who looked after you a bit or not?
I feel like my brother Will, the next one up when I arrived, he didn't like that much.
Yeah.
So I feel like my brother Nick used to stick up for me a fair bit.
Yeah.
And my brother Ken a bit too, but he was, like I said, he was sort of not a loner, but he was just like he's just very eccentric kind of dude, and he sort of didn't quite get as involved in the bullshit. I mean, how many boys?
There's the three of us.
Just three. Okay,
so I'm
three,
in the middle,
right?
and then my older brother is like 2.5 years, and my younger brother is pretty much 3 years younger.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay. Similar gaps,
Yeah.
basically.
Yeah.
And is there a dynamic there?
Yeah, I play peacekeeper,
Right.
but also that thing of like not growing up, especially not liking any confrontation.
Right.
If mum and dad had a fight, I'd be trying to smooth it over.
That's a really common trait with comedians.
Yeah, I remember my dad once came home drunk from the golf, and mum just had a gutful and fucking just blasted him. And I apparently was crying, saying, "I don't want you to get a divorce." And then my dad, very angry, threw a plate across the room without not realizing that I was in line with the plate and split my toe. And that I was happy because it stopped them fighting.
Wow.
And it was that thing.
Holy shit. This
Yeah.
origin story.
Yeah.
The origin story of a comedian is what this is.
But I think I wanted to play peacekeeper. Brent, my younger brother, probably wanted approval, like constantly.
Right.
Like I'm as good as the
sense.
oldest, and my older one was like he was kind of like the naughty one, but not even that naughty,
Yeah,
yeah.
right. Okay.
and doing his own thing.
Did you guys get up to much bad mischief?
Not really. Not that I've heard other comedians talk about. Ours was like fighting around the house. My younger brother chasing around the house with a block of wood and threw it at me. I closed the door, went through the door, and me just being like, "You wait till Dad gets home. You're in so much trouble."
Oh, man,
yeah.
that feeling.
Yeah.
When you've put a hole in the wall, which I've done many times.
Did you guys?
Oh, yeah. We did bad shit. Looking back, it's pretty crazy, actually. I mean, I'm jumping around chronologically here, but at one point I was growing weed and selling it. And
So how old are you at this point?
I reckon 15, 16.
Yeah.
I was smoking it younger than that. My eldest brother, had me, didn't have me, but I guess introduced me to alcohol and stuff like that, when I was even younger. I think that's one of the things about being the youngest. And we were all pretty, they left school grade, Will and Nick, the middle guys, left school grade 9, 10.
Yeah.
And went and worked at my dad's tent shop out the back. So they were, Will was a skateboarder. He was skating around town. We're all smoking pot and stuff. And it was pretty wild, full-on wild fights. I remember we would take Dad's go-kart and race that around the suburb, which is pretty crazy.
Yeah.
In
And
that
loud.
suburb, and loud
Yeah.
as fuck. And yeah, I got in trouble for setting off a petrol bomb. It wasn't far long after Ash Wednesday. So that's, people were just on full-on bushfire mode, and I just fully, because Dad had aviation gas.
Is that for?
That's for race cars. You put it in helicopters and shit. And it was just the cool thing to blow up, I guess.
So.
And graffiti was a big thing because my brother Nick's a hip hop artist. I know that sounds ridiculous. A hip hop artist, you think of I don't know, Jay-Z or something, but he was a breakdancer. So anyway, so
the four pillars of hip hop isn't graffiti one of them?
Yeah. Graffiti, breakdancing, MCing, and DJing. Yeah. The 4 pillars, man.
Instead of 4 burners, I'll do 4 pillars next time. So is that going? So because I had a mate who was really into that as well, and he's now an artist he does augmented reality art.
Really?
Yeah.
In the hip hop area?
I think so. Yeah, his name's Sutu. Everyone look him up.
That's fascinating.
He's world renowned in this. But when I first moved to Melbourne, he was really into graffiti, and we had to break into this abandoned warehouse in the city, and it was almost like fucking parkour, jump from one building to another building. I'm 22, so old enough to know I could fucking die at this. 15, you kind of go, oh yeah, I understand.
Yeah.
You're dumb enough
Yeah.
to think that, you're not going to hurt yourself. But this was real, like, jumping into places and just like 100 pigeons just flying out and just so
Wow.
he could tag this.
Yeah.
I shouldn't say. I might have to bleep out his name. No, he's fine. It's been 20 years. It's fine.
Yeah, the cops are like, got him. I've been looking for this guy.
But were you doing stuff like that, or was your brother doing stuff like that?
Well, we all were doing stuff like that, but it just reminds me that my brother Nick was the most into it, obviously going on to make that a career. First in dance and then sort of more choreography stuff. But he was doing graffiti and he's done sort of all of it at some point. But the Brisbane Powerhouse, which is now obviously the famous performing arts venue, was what they call a graffiti hall of fame, which sounds a bit like what you're talking about, which is like a place which is abandoned and everybody leaves their piece there.
Yeah.
And he has graffiti still in that. One of the pieces still left there is one of his.
Oh, cool.
Down the bottom where the dressing rooms are.
Yep.
And he nearly died there. His girlfriend saved him because it was all dilapidated and he was in one of the high things and nearly fully walked off one of the ledges, which is like stories down. But so he's done graffiti in that where I do stand up now. Literally my first ever stand-up show was in a room called the Graffiti Room at the Brisbane Powerhouse.
Oh, yeah. That's
first ever full show.
That's one to the left. So growing up, are you close to your parents?
Yeah. I guess it's all relative, I suppose. But I would say so, yeah.
Was there a point there where you drifted out? Like most people in their late teens up until their 30s, they're like... Because you didn't move from Brisbane, did you? You stayed in Brisbane the whole time?
Oh, well, we grew up in Toowoomba.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
And so I left for uni and I was living on campus in Brisbane. So that was my first, like, living away from home kind of thing. And thank God I didn't do uni in Toowoomba. That would have been so like that decision was kind of up in the air, but thank God I didn't.
What did you study?
Oh, I studied IT.
Okay.
Yeah.
Which
obviously
you could have done that in Toowoomba, right?
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
But I'm glad I didn't.
How far away is Toowoomba? It's not that far, is it? It's like an hour and a half, if that.
Yeah, hour 45. Yeah.
About the same distance I was from when I moved out as well.
Oh yeah.
I did Launceston. It's enough that my parents wouldn't come up all the time, but enough if something really did go wrong, it's quite easy for them to drop everything and come up. Yeah.
You want that independence or that experience of freedom or whatever.
Yeah.
What were you studying?
Performing arts.
Ah, right. Yeah. Oh boy.
Theatre.
Your parents must have been supportive to.
Well, they were, although their thing was like, I did theatre and then the promise of doing teaching afterwards, because for them it was like, well, you need to have a job, and acting's not a job.
Right.
Theatre's
so they
not
want
a
the
job.
Backup thing.
Yeah.
They're obsessed with that.
And I think because my auntie had done the same thing, they're like, all right, and she was a teacher, so I'm like, they can see it. They go, all right, that's the line that you're going to follow. But I'd never wanted to teach.
Would you do if your kid did the same thing? Would you want them to have the backup thing, or having been an artist yourself, you'd just be like,
I think the backup thing sometimes it works for some people. It works for me. Otherwise, I stress out too much about every gig needs to be the best, and so it's nice.
It is
to
scary
take the
that
pressure off.
Yeah.
But you speak to some performers who are like, no, you need to, like, you can't have the bungee cord there. You need to just free fall. Ross Noble's like that. Ross Noble's like, no, if you have a backup plan, you're going to go to it. But I'm like, yeah, but you're very, very, very successful.
Yeah. Yeah, it's easy for him to say, and he's selling out like the town hall for a few years.
All right. So do you say you're closer to your mum or your dad?
Well, I'm just going to say mum at the moment.
Yeah.
Just because mum and dad separated, when they're in their 70s.
They've separated?
Yeah. So dad.
We're so similar.
Yeah?
My parents separated when I was 33.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. How old were you when they separated? So
well, it's been a while now. Yeah, so I would have been in my mid-30s, I reckon. Yeah. It was so weird.
It's a head fuck, isn't it?
Yeah, totally, because they've been together for 40 years.
Yeah.
It's a similar deal?
Yeah, they'd been together at 38, and it was that thing of... And now it's like every time you go back... Because are they both in Toowoomba still?
Well, yes, but Dad's sort of on the coast, has a little house on the coast, and he's sort of between the two. But basically, yeah.
Yeah. I may have told this on a show before, but when my wife met my parents, she was like, do you reckon your parents love each other? And I'm like, yeah, that's just how they are. It's just how they are with each other. And then that night at the dinner table, my mum was like, I've thought about it. When I die, if I die after your dad, do not bury me anywhere near him.
Jesus.
I don't want to be buried next to him.
Christ.
And I was like, I reckon they might be in trouble.
Even when I'm dead, I don't want to be annoyed.
But for us, it was just, that's how they were. That's how they were with each other.
For all the time you known, or?
No, it was like when we all left home, then it became apparent. Then it was just the two of them and nothing else to distract them. That's when I think the issues kind of started.
Have they gone to be with other people?
They both had. My dad's not with anyone at the minute, but my mum is. But this is like the third relationship she's been in since her and dad broke up.
That's so crazy. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's weird. It's a whole thing to go down that.
Yeah. So, family events then, do you have to negotiate?
Well, they're just totally scattered now.
Yeah.
I mean, I feel like, it's no revelation to say that, the whole family unit thing is just disintegrating into smaller, like, because I remember the whole family of dad's side of the family would get together every Christmas. It'd be all the cousins, all the uncles, all the aunties.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's just so rare now for my kids. And now with like family events and stuff, it's just too difficult. I just end up trying to see mum and then trying to see dad on a different day.
Yep.
And organising my son with my ex as well. It's pretty crazy.
How old's your kid now? It's like
14.
Yeah. How's that? Like, because how often do you get to see him?
Well, I see him whenever I like, really.
Oh, that's nice.
Yeah, I just I guess I'd see him a few times a week. You know, when I'm home.
Do you have a sense of what he might become?
Well, I got to say, I'm pretty impressed so far. I mean, between me and his mum, it's like fucking. I'm surprised he's not doing acid and hanging out under a bridge or something. I mean, like, because we both were terrible teenagers, but he is a very sweet kid. He seems to be very contented.
Yeah.
In an internal sense as well. Just and he seems to be very cautious and not interested in taking massive risks or doing the wrong thing and stuff. And he's not a delinquent.
Yeah.
Yeah.
My eldest is almost 13 and he's a very sweet boy. And it's like, then I see his friends and they're all very kind. It's like this generation coming up. They are like, because I also coach an under 14 basketball team and so I'm around other kids and not just my kids' friends and my kids. You know, these children are actually, the kids are going to be all right, is what I'm saying. Like they're actually,
it's true.
Like they're supportive and they're not like dicks. And I mean, there's the occasional dick that we play against, but it's like they're very rare.
I agree. It's fascinating, really. I feel like our generation of parents sort of broke the cycle.
Yeah.
I mean, it's a bold statement, but like that's just what I see.
Yep.
I see like parents that I hang around with that are all very supportive, very nurturing, and there's a lot of emotional connection there.
Becoming a parent, did you realize how much your parents would have thought about you all the time?
Oh, man. You know what? It's just like, did you ever get the sensation that you're like, oh, they had no idea what they're doing? Because
yes,
they're not like these people that have like earned this place as parents.
Yep.
And, you sort of almost visualize them going through a ceremony. You're now officially parents and there's all these rules and you stick by them and all this. It's just like, oh, they're just flying by the seat of their pants.
That was the weirdest
chaos.
Thing when we had the child, when Ollie was born, and it's that, like before the birth, you read all the birthing books and all that kind of stuff. And then we didn't read very much in the way of what to do once he's home. It's like, we got to spend 3 days in the hospital, which was very nice, and didn't go out anywhere and just stayed there. And then it was like, all right, off now. And I'm like, the world felt different.
Mm-hmm.
Driving home was like, I'd never concentrated more on the road and everything just seemed so different.
Yeah, and then you'd get them home and you're like, what the fuck do I do now?
We're in charge.
It's not an instruction manual or anything.
Yeah. So with the 4 kids, you would have
Yeah.
Did you all play sport? I know your brother is now still racing. Like
Yeah, he's
professional?
still racing. Yeah, he is towards the end of his career, but
So was there
he's still into it.
a lot
yeah.
of weekend sport that your parents were driving you guys to?
Yeah, we were all big into sport.
Yeah.
I was playing a lot of cricket. I was playing a lot of rugby league, and so were my brothers. I'm just trying to think if anyone did anything really. We all played cricket. We all played. Yeah, we're all big into sport.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Here's a question I don't often ask, but I'll ask it. At Christmas, were the big gifts from Santa or your parents?
Oh, shit. I can't even remember whether that was distinguished. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like whether it was just like Santa or I think it was just really all from parents.
Yeah.
Really. Yeah.
I only ask that because I'm always
It's
intrigued.
interesting.
Well, yeah, because I know that a lot of people who are having kids now get pissed off that they have to say, "Oh, this is from this make-believe person." And I'm like,
That's hilarious.
You got to provide some magic in their life.
Yeah, who cares?
Yeah.
What do you want to you want credit for your fucking present?
I know. All right. For anything else you want to mention about family?
No, I think that's
Good.
pretty good.
All right.
Pretty good deep dive.
Friends, career, health. Which one do you want next?
It's career health. Well, all right. Let's do health then.
Okay. Would you say you're healthy?
I like to think I am.
Yeah, I reckon you're healthy.
Yeah, I
Be-
like to
be
think I
confident.
am.
And this is not just physical, but also mental health we're going to talk about.
Okay, well, you threw that in at the end. I mean, come on, you're interviewing, comedians. Like, fucking hell.
Well,
This isn't fair.
I think, though, of all the, there's a lot of comedians I know. I think you seem pretty solid and pretty relaxed about most things. That's what you present.
I mean, I hope. I mean, there'll be people listening to that statement.
Really?
There will be. I thought you were joking. I mean, look, I guess people. I get. I don't know. I guess it's different people perceive you differently. But
Yeah.
like our friend Greg Larson just thinks I'm totally fucking insane. But he has known me for so long.
Okay.
Longer than we've known each other. And we've also worked together closely. So, it's a very interesting. Yeah, I mean, people that know me definitely think I'm crazy. Yeah.
Okay, I've never been.
Or intense. at
Every
least.
time I've spoken to you, there's a couple of guys who I speak to in comedy who actually look me in the eye and ask me questions about myself. And I'm like, there's not too many. They're not just hey, when's your show on? How's your show going? You got any gigs coming? Actual proper questions.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, well, I got to admit, the thing is that we work amongst the craziest people. We really do. And I mean, when I did a little film project last year, we had a crew and everything and stuff. And, I was hanging around with film people for whatever, probably not what they're called, but it shows how much I know. But, and I was just like, oh, yeah. These people are normal.
Okay, so what kind of stuff then? Are you a needy person?
I think so, but I wouldn't classify the neediness as just our neediness as I think artists are needy.
Yeah.
They just are, because what we do is so vulnerable. It's like, it's so fucking stupid what we do. And it's it's beautiful and blah, blah, blah. But it's like, you're putting yourself out there. You have to be a true stoic to not be like, what do you think?
Yeah. I'm very much like a fucking puppy dog, just going, okay, do I get a treat now? Just tell me I'm a good boy.
Yeah, totally. I'm 42.
Yeah, I'm
still like, what do you think of that bit, man? To like a dude I'll do that to people that have been doing comedy for 2 weeks.
Yeah.
I'll be like, yeah, man, do you think of that? Like, I'll be doing that.
It is funny because I was talking to a friend of mine who was at Falls Festival. This is back in the day. And she said to a comic, hey, great set. And they're like, which one did you see? And then she said, it to bands, great set. And they're like, oh, thanks. And like musicians are very much easier to take the compliment and go, oh, thanks. Whereas comedians are like, which one? Which one did you say? Because
It's a great point. Yeah, I feel like musicians. I mean, I'm going to say it, but it is easier. You're on stage. I mean, actually, of course, you would know.
You can write 10 good songs, and that's your entire career. You can go right.
Well, I genuinely want to know. Like, okay, you do a music gig hypothetically, and then you do a stand-up gig. And this in this case, you're not doing musical comedy.
Yeah,
you're doing a proper you're doing not the musical comedy.
No, I agree.
But you're doing rock and roll or whatever.
Yeah.
I mean, which one do you come off more secure? Which one do you come off more secure from?
For me, it was comedy because
really
there's the instant they're laughing, they like it. Whereas music, it was like they clapped at the end of songs. And then,
you had no idea how they felt. That's interesting.
No idea for the 3.5 minutes of the song going. Are they enjoying it? I mean, they're all sitting and watching. They're not talking. So I guess they're enjoying it.
Yeah.
But it is that, for me, when I first started, I was kind of doing both. And then, the comedy was like, for me, the more satisfying because it was like that instant, here you go, here's a laugh, great, thank you, here's another laugh.
Wow, but don't you ever get that thing where you're like, it's a laugh, yeah. But
now
is it a good laugh?
Back then I was just happy with any noise.
Yeah.
So when do you think you were at your healthiest?
Man, it's funny because I would say obviously in my 20s, but I've just gotten so into wellness and like organic food and I mean I hate to say the term wellness because I don't believe in the. I mean it is wellness. It's an attempt to be you're not just healthy. You're like I try and eat a lot of really good food and I try to exercise and which has been difficult with I've had a back injury, but trying to get on top of that, and sleep is a fucking nightmare. But what I know now, about health, is I know so much.
Yeah.
Because I've gotten so deep into it. But in my 20s, I would have been physically at my prime, but just eating McDonald's and just crap, doing more drugs and.
So you mentioned sleep's hard. Have you always been had trouble falling asleep?
It's a fucking man. I think one of the things they say is that you shouldn't talk about it. But
because it gets in your head.
I mean, I talk about it all the time.
Yeah.
So I mean, or something. I don't know. It's crazy because I don't drink. I don't do drugs very often. I don't drink very often. I have a coffee a day. I eat good food and I exercise. Yeah. But I still won't sleep.
You're too smart.
A motherfucker.
You're too smart, buddy.
You think I'm thinking? I'll tell you what, man. If it's thinking too much, it's definitely that.
Yeah. So you mentioned you try and eat organic foods.
I do.
Has this been going on for a while?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep. And I'll still eat. I'm not a total nut.
Yeah.
But when I'm trying to be good, I'll have many meals a day that are organic and. All the bullshit, the whole grain, fucking blah, blah, blah.
And was this something that because you read something or just felt different from when you were eating organic food to non-organic food? Or?
I think once you're eating really nutritious food, it is you do notice when you go back. Maybe it is psychological. Maybe it's placebo, but
if it makes you feel better.
It makes you feel better and basically organic food's growing in – I can't believe I'm saying this shit.
It's so funny. Somebody coming to me and go, is this all right? It's great.
I'm losing ticket sales. People are like, I was going to go see fucking, what is this wanking bullshit? I mean, you seem very healthy.
Yeah, my diet does, I do eat too many processed meals because I eat those because if I'm at work, I don't pack a lunch. It's something I should do, but I just go on and get one of those protein microwave meals.
Oh, you do?
And it's all processed chicken, and I know it's bad for me, but I'm like, well, it's better than if I go to get a banh mi or do something it's just it's healthier. And that's the one thing that I wish, but I just don't have time. I don't have time to meal prep.
It's expensive as well.
Yeah.
All my extra. This is a middle-aged thing. All my extra money just goes towards that food.
Yeah.
The good food.
Well, if you're not drinking,
not fine dining shit.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's all I have.
How long have you been not drinking for?
Well, I go through phases.
Yeah.
But one time I had a year off. I just don't have any desire to.
Yeah.
It's strange. It's not even a discipline thing. I don't have a problem, if event was happening, people were drinking, I probably would. But Yeah, I don't know. Have you ever felt that way with alcohol? It just gets boring.
Yeah.
I find it really boring.
Yeah, when I stopped drinking, it was kind of like just it will be a challenge. I also had a very big 40th and had a real bad hangover. I was like, this is no good. And then after, and I drank too much in lockdown. I looked at photos of myself in lockdown. My head's just bigger. It's just got that fat whiskey head. And so I had to stop. So what I was doing in lockdown was drinking. The kids would go to bed about 9 o'clock and I'd have probably half a bottle of whiskey every night.
Are you serious?
And listen to country songs and be like, oh, something's got to change here.
Were you delving into the depression of it? Like,
I don't know if
wallow, but I basking in it.
As I was enjoying it, I was having fun going, oh yeah, it's nice to feel sad listening to Joe Pug or Jeff Tweedy or something like that and just going, all right, this is nice, and then drinking a whiskey and then have another one and then...
What whiskey were you drinking? Because I was a whiskey nut for a while. Oh, you're drinking Glenfiddich. Okay, yeah.
All right. Yeah, but I hadn't had a drink for 2 years. Oh, that's not true. No, I've had a glass of wine with dinner occasionally, but not a social drink, yeah.
That's a fucking long time.
It's all right, yeah.
Yeah.
I mean...
You're not missing much though.
Exactly. The only thing I really miss is that I feel sometimes in social situations people are bored by me because I'm sober and they're all drinking.
Yeah, but drunk people are so fucking annoying. It's crazy. Which one's boring? That's the question.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like drunk people.
With your mental health, do you have any indicators or red flags that you know that it's all right, something's got to change here?
Look, I mean, it is a constant struggle for me, but like, I don't know what other people go through, but, I guess it's just something I mean, that I think that really is part of the food thing and all that. Cause I went off I tried antidepressants. I had a bad season 2 or whatever years ago, and I went on them and then I went off them, and then like really I think that kicked off this whole thing of like, oh, if you're not going to do that, then what other, you better exercise and do all these other things. So I feel like, my lifestyle's always just trying to keep on top of that. Kind of getting down or anxious,
Yep. So you mentioned your back, you got a sore back, and before we started you said it was from doing weights.
I reckon my discs are degraded.
Yeah.
So, like, I think that probably would have been the incident that maybe.
And is that must affect sleep and mood as well? Like, because I've had bad backs in the past, and it's
when it's bad for sure.
No fun.
For sure. Yeah.
And do you notice that it's like affects like
well,
mood
you can't do. Well, I think you can't. Like I see young, fuck, I'm even saying that, but younger guys running, and I'm like, fuck, I wish I could just run again. You know what I mean?
You could run.
Like, yeah, but it's like, it's one of those exercises that really throws my thing out of whack or whatever. I can fully exercise though. So that's like, it's just all core strength stuff though. It's very low impact stuff. That's all.
Yeah. No jumping.
Yeah.
Yeah. As a kid, did your parents ever focus on health in the family?
My dad is a very health obsessed with the physical stuff. Like he was big walker, big swimmer. Doesn't like us putting weight on. Or he's better about it now.
Does he mention it?
Well, I think we've said to him, look, just don't say we look out of shape, Dad. It doesn't help.
My dad is obsessed with talking about people's weight. And this is a man who is not a healthy man. Obsessed. He'll tell you, oh, I saw such and such down the street the other day. They've put on some weight. Did you watch Nemesis, the ABC thing with all the politicians?
No. What's that?
It's the last 3 prime ministers, like the Liberal prime ministers.
Oh,
and so Malcolm Turnbull there's this scene where Matthias Cormann is on there and he goes, oh, hasn't he chunked up a bit? Oh, he's looking quite slim there. And I saw him the other day. And it's like,
what's that got to do with anything?
Just this catty fucking guy.
Yeah, wow.
But my dad is very similar. We'll mention someone's weight to you. It's like, yeah, because they're 20 years older than when you saw them last, Dad. That's why. Like a friend of mine, like from high school, oh, they put on some weight. Yeah, because last time you saw them, 45. They were 17, Dad. Yeah. So your dad, like, will mention your own weight?
Well, can I ask you, does your dad have a thing about tattoos?
Yes. Hates them.
I fucking knew it.
We should get our dads together. My dad, like, his big thing was like, oh, if I could invest in a tattoo removal place. In 5 years' time, I'll be a millionaire. And I'm like, I reckon they're here to stay, Dad. This is so funny you brought that because we were watching. My dad just came over to stay with us. We were watching because he can't stand silence in the house. It just makes him awkward.
Awesome.
Yeah.
I love it.
So the TV's always got to be on.
Right.
And so we were watching free-to-air TV and the Doghouse Australia came on and there was this Maori family and they had facial tattoos. And we're watching it and he goes, now to my wife, he goes, now you tell me this, Beck. If you had a job, if you had an office and these people came in looking for a job, what would you say to them? And Beck's very nice and went, I'd say, can I see your qualifications? What do you mean, John? Knowing exactly what he meant, but just wanted him to say it. And he goes, oh, yeah. And I was like, Dad, it's cultural. Like, you can't. And he's like, oh, yeah, but still, it looks. I'm like, no. It's cultural.
Yeah,
like,
totally.
Yeah, but it was that thing of like, he then flipped. I went, oh, yeah, you're right. Yep.
Yeah,
like,
my dad wouldn't be flipping.
Okay.
There's a difference. He's not. He digs in deeper. Oh, yeah. Well, like it's one of those things where it's just like in your life you go, I mean, even doing comedy, you know, going, no, fuck yeah, I'm going to do it. Da-da-da, I'm going to do it. I'm going to do this. You know, fuck my parents, you know. You got to, you know, go break out and do your own thing. But tattoos like that, like, yeah, I'll have to wait before Dad to be dead for that. Like he would just, I would fear that he would cut me out of a will.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like he wouldn't talk to me. It's crazy.
You don't have any tattoos?
No.
Is it any of your brothers?
No.
Yeah.
My brother Will has a tiny ink cross that he did in high school with a pin, like being just a shitty teenager or whatever. That's it.
All right. I think we've discussed all of this. Oh, so you're not a member of any like yoga or Pilates or gym stuff?
No. Sort of just do it at home.
Yeah.
It's very particular stuff.
All right. Friends and career. That's what we've got left.
Let's do friends then.
All right. Do you have a best friend? So weird asking a grown man that.
I love that. Yeah. Jeez. Well, I wouldn't say I have a best friend, but I definitely have a couple of friends that I'm very close with.
Yeah.
One guy, my mate Kai, is a guy I've known since grade, I think 3.
Yep.
So we've always stayed pretty close. I mean, we don't see each other as often as I'd like, but we're pretty close.
And
yeah.
How did you become friends? Just in the same class?
In the same class. We used to do comedy sketches in front of the class at show and tell.
Great.
It's crazy.
Like, are we talking like full frontal kind of?
Sort of stuff. We'd take ads. Ads came up and we would impersonate them.
Yep.
And stuff. It's pretty good stuff, actually. It wasn't bad.
So you got Kai, are you friends with other people from school days?
Yeah, I try and keep in touch with the group of mates I would say that I went to schoolies with. Those guys, yeah, we don't see each other often, but we do keep in touch.
Has your school had a school reunion yet?
It did. It did have a school reunion. I got a feeling there's a reason why I didn't go, but yeah, I got a feeling I was interstate.
Yeah. We had ours 20. I'd recommend going. I had a lot of fun. It was good. How did you make friends when you were at school?
I remember, like in high school, I had good friends.
Yeah,
and I don't remember having trouble making them. We had a group of friends, and we're still friends today. Keep in touch and stuff. We were pretty bad teenagers. We were drinking and smoking pot and blah blah blah. But I remember in primary school, my dad got this he expanded outside of the canvas thing and got this confectionery warehouse. And I remember bringing potato chips to school to win over friends. Like I remember bringing them because like he'd have stock that he couldn't sell or some shit.
Yeah.
I remember that being, I don't know why it stuck in my head as being pretty pathetic.
No, that's how you make friends as a kid. I've got my dad owns a lolly shop.
Yeah, a lolly warehouse.
Have you made any friends in the last 5 years?
Oh, that's a good question. Fuck, that's a good question. That's a great question for a 42-year-old.
I know. Yeah, because I'm at the point where because Beck's always on at me, goes, I I think you could be friends with that guy. I'm like, yeah, but how? What am I going to do?
Yeah, how does it even work?
I think this is my reason why I think golf is popular. It just gives men an excuse to ask for a walk in the park with another man. It's like, oh, we'll go and play a round of golf.
It's so funny.
Because you're not going to say, hey, do you want to come for a walk in the park with me?
Yeah,
But
yeah.
if we're hitting the ball around.
That's a great, yeah. I love that idea because I think that like men like we do things.
Yeah.
We can't, yeah.
Yeah.
And it just reminds me of my dad's big thing. Like dad, just connection is not his forte.
Yeah.
Which is a weird way to put it, but like he would take us on skiing trips and it took us a lifetime to realize like, this is stupid, Dad. Why are we even doing this? It's literally designed so we can't talk. We go to this thing, we travel, we get there, we got to get up early, get to the ski lift before anyone else, and then you ski separate, and then it sucks and it's kind of painful, and then you get on the lift again, you can't talk then, and then you're just different, and then you meet up, and then you're tired and you go to bed. Like the whole thing is just so we're in an area together going down something sort of remotely near each other, and we just have you don't walk away from the trip like we sat down, we finally got deeper about who we are and where we came from, and it's just so funny to me. Just like goggles and how like it's literally designed. It's impossible to connect. It's like you couldn't if you tried. Anyway,
so any friends in the last 5 years?
Avoiding the question. The friends that I would say I've made in the last 5 years would be through work.
Yeah.
So I feel like that's a bit cheating. But
Well, I think that's how most people would though. Not just comedians. I think if you worked in an office and someone new comes to the office and they sit next to you every day, you'd form a friendship. Yeah.
Sure. Yeah. So I would say that. I would say there's a filmmaker I work with, Brody. We worked really closely together.
Yeah.
On probably stuff. I think you've probably seen some of the stuff that the stuff with Goxie and all that.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's one of those things where we work so closely together we haven't talked for a while.
Yeah.
It's like it was really pretty fucking intense experience to shoot an hour of film together. We shot more than that actually, but and just to comedians, sometimes I crash into people's houses and you get to become closer and stuff, with guys like that.
Have you had any friend breakups?
That's a great question.
And the follow-up question, was it a big incident or was it just a slow ghosting where you're like, I've got nothing in common with this guy anymore?
Yeah, there was a guy. I don't think I've only had one friend breakup. But I've had a couple of guys that I've just distanced myself a bit from because I feel like that it's a negative relationship or whatever.
Yeah.
Which is important.
Yeah.
But his friend breakup, man, this guy, he was definitely had mental health issues and stuff, as a lot of my friends do. So he was not unusual in the kind of circles, friends that I have. I just mean in the sense that a lot of my friends are very eccentric and, crazy people. In some
I understand.
respects.
In my 20s,
Yeah.
I looked for those people who were like...
Yeah, it's a very comedian thing to do. It's just how we end up in this weird thing. And this guy, anyway, he was always, difficult, but, we were close. And, one day he just got really upset that I was doing some work on the project and I was not far from his place. And I think he just felt like I'd come down to Melbourne a lot and not done enough. And it was, I would say an overreaction, but he just sent me this, text. One trip down, I was like, maybe didn't respond quick enough, something, and he just sent me this it was just this massive text, and like, you're a piece of shit, you're gonna die alone, you've got bitch tits, you look terrible on TV. Like, it was like really full on. And I was like, because it's kind of thing had happened before, something like, and I was like, no, I can't come back from this. Like, I'd like to, but it's just like, how do I just go, no, this is like, it just was too much. And then sure enough, not long after that, he's like, come on, all right, let's, and I'm like, nah, man, this is done.
I've I've not had something like that, but I have had a similar thing where someone kind of laid it all out to me and like said, "You're not a good friend," and then I've kind of gone back and went, "Well, this is," and then there's been no like, then going, "All right, should we catch up soon?" I'm like, "No, I think we're done. This is done, right?" Like,
Oh wow, did you? Was this face to face?
no, this is all via like text. Yeah.
So you both went back and forth and went like,
Well, he kind of
we're done.
He
I
laid
guess
it
we're
out
done.
to me, and then I went, "No, I'm not accepting this. This is not like that's not how it happened, and I'm not like just gonna let you fucking like give it to me and not take anything back." And then I heard nothing, and then a couple of months later, going just a message online going, "Oh no, this scroll up. That's how we feel about each other. Like we're fine."
Did you actually say it? Like
No,
did you
I left it on red. Like, yeah. But it's like,
I mean,
yeah.
yeah,
Yeah.
I mean, I totally get it.
Yep. Do you set aside time for friends these days?
Yeah, probably not enough.
I mean, you're down in Melbourne where a lot of your friends are. So
Yeah, I do. I do like, yeah, it's hard.
yeah,
I do like try to make sure I catch up with people, and it's funny there's so many people to catch up with, because of working in the industry we work in, and yeah, so I sort of got to, yeah, it's hard.
yeah.
It's fucking hard.
Last question on friends. How many people in your life would you happily drive to the airport as opposed to how many people you'd ask for a lift to the airport?
How many people would I happily drive? Yeah, geez, I don't know.
Do you reckon the number
there'd
would
be
be
like 10.
More people you'd drive, and how many people would you ask then?
I reckon more people I'd ask.
That's good.
Yeah.
That's the first time anyone's answered as that asked more people.
Yeah, I think so. Yeah. I mean, I'd ask so many people. But I mean, I guess in the sense that if someone asked me if I could give them a lift, yeah, I mean, fuck. I don't know. 10, 20 people maybe?
It's all right. All right, career. All right, did you always want to be a comedian?
Well, I was doing those sketches in primary school.
Yeah.
And I was doing that kind of thing in high school. There was no avenue for it at Toowoomba Grammar.
Yeah.
It just was a rugby school. But then I went and did IT, and I wanted to do that. And then when that started going kind of shitty, I just went, oh, yeah, I used to love doing that stuff. And I kind of got in my early 20s, went to an acting course, and that led to stand-up.
Yep.
So yeah, I get. I would say that I always had like wanted to do comedy stuff, but because of the environment I grew up in, it wasn't a thing where someone was like, "You could be a comedian."
Yeah.
It was just like, "Oh yeah, I like doing characters and impressions." And
Did you draw as a kid?
yeah, but not like serious. Like I know some people.
I know a lot of comedians as kids would draw cartoons. And that was their creative outlet.
Really?
Yeah.
You get that a lot.
I get that a lot, yes. And more so in the previous show. I don't know how I always ask people in the questionnaire, what did you want to be as a kid? Pretty much 90% of male comics, I wanted to be a cartoonist.
Wow.
Yeah.
I did not know that.
Yeah. Did when you start? What age were you when you started comedy, by the way?
Well, I guess like more seriously, like I was 22 when I did that course, and that was improv and film acting and stuff. And then it would have been a year or two after that, I sort of ended up taking those sketches I was doing live and started trying to do stand up.
Yeah. Did you have like a 5-year plan or a 10-year plan or career goals that you wanted to get out of it?
Once I did an open mic, and I was doing these shitty characters on stage, impressions of John Howard and fucking Richie Benno and shit. Just terrible stuff. I think it was just so exhilarating. I just never stopped. I just have not stopped. Yeah.
Yeah. So
obsessing.
not a like.
It wasn't like a plan. I mean, I had career plans. Like I wanted to get down here and do all that stuff that regular people want to do.
What do you tell Uber drivers you do if they ask?
Depends. Sometimes when I'm in a good mood, I'll say comedian. Yeah. But other times I'll say I work in IT.
Yeah.
You can go that way.
Have you had jobs that weren't creative at all?
Yeah, I went back. I worked in IT for years, and then when I was doing comedy, I would still do IT, subcontract and stuff for money. And then when my son was born, I left my acting course. I was studying fine arts acting and went and got a full-time job in IT support.
Yep.
For like 3 years before I gave it another go.
Do you reckon you could be happy doing something that's not creative?
It's a very good question. I think I would. You mean like as a profession?
Yeah.
I mean, assuming I could have creativity in my life.
Yeah.
I think it's quite a painful career. Doing creative stuff.
Quite often reminded of the Onion article, which the headline was "Secret to Happiness: Find what you love doing and then do it on the weekends."
Yeah.
And I quite often I'm like, oh, that cuts me deep. But I used to have like dreams of like, because I worked in a library, I'd love to work in a bookshop. I reckon I could be happy working in a bookshop or a music store, and both those things are no longer a viable option. Like, it's so funny that comedy is a more financial option than working in a bookshop.
Fucking hell.
Yeah. All right. So what's your plans for the future? What do you want to get out of comedy?
Oh man, comedy's reached a point for me because I've been doing it now for probably as long as you have, like nearly 20 years.
Yeah. I started, my first gig was 2003, but that was in Launceston. Didn't really count.
Right.
It was
right
playing funny songs at a band night. So not really a comedy night.
But it took you a couple of years to get real serious.
Well, 2004 is when I moved to Melbourne and started doing comedy proper.
Right.
Yeah, so 20 years, it's just been.
Fuck. It's crazy. Well, yeah, it's all changed pretty quick. Like, it used to be just wanting to do stand-up and stuff, but like I took a year off for the first time touring last year, and I did film these films. I mean, it's a web series, but they were shot as films, like, with a proper crew and DOP and shot on red and a color grade and everything. And we shot them like films too. They weren't sketches.
Yep.
They were like narratives. And doing that, I think I just enjoyed it so much. And so that stuff really interests me, and doesn't interest me anymore to tour a new hour of stand-up every year. So I'm trying to do screenwriting and film stuff as a way of not doing that every year. And I just feel like stand-up's just like it's like I need to step back from it a bit to sort of, I don't know, get perspective, I guess.
Yeah. I'm at the point where I do every second year a new show, just because if I do it every year, I'm like,
I bet you love it.
I feel like I'm repeating myself.
Yeah.
Well, not even repeating myself, but I'm using the same kind of like tricks in stand-up and go, oh, this is this bit, and I'll just that's what I did last time. And so I find every second year for me is just enough to go, right, this is I still love it. So
yeah, if you did it every year, you wouldn't.
No. Well, I did from 2006 to 2013. Right. I did a show every year, and then did 2015, 16, 17.
Wow, similar, yeah.
So from 2015 to 2017, I wrote 6 different shows, and also did a podcast every week. It's just too much.
Whew.
Too much. All right, this is the final question about career. All right, I'm a magic genie. I can grant you any wish to do with your career, but just your career. What do you wish?
Oh boy. I reckon it would be to have the series that I just shot, like that character, have that as a series that is successful on TV. Yeah. On whatever TV is today.
Yeah. So
something that's watched, like
something that people can actually see. Yeah.
Yeah, but it's like watched and
you're paid to do it.
And paid really well to do it, and that means, you can do other things. That would be it.
I'm the same. I also call it TV. People go, it's Netflix. I'm like, it's fucking, I watch it on my TV.
It's TV.
Yeah. I've got a TV in the corner.
You can watch it on your watch and the TV. It's just weird times.
All right. So this is the part of the show. What we do is we either turn some burners off or we leave some burners on. Okay. So which burners are you leaving on?
You know what? It's funny because, I mean, the biggest problem in my life is just how much I spend on the career thing, which is what I bet every fucking guest you have says.
I've had 2 who only left career on. They turned the other 3 off. I've had 2 guests.
Wow.
Can I say both of them? One won the Comedy Festival Best Show last year and one won it the year before.
Wow.
Yeah.
There you go. It says it all. So you're saying which one would I turn off?
Yep. So friends, family, health, career. You can leave 3 on, and apparently you're successful in those 3. Or if you turn 2 off, the 2 you leave on, super successful. That's the theory. I'm not saying it's right, but that's what the theory says.
Yeah, I you know what? I mean, probably for me, the logical, the thing, honestly, would probably be friends that I would turn off.
Yep.
In that it would just be less people, like less but more quality or whatever. You know what I mean? Like less social time, but more with the people that are like closer to or whatever.
Yeah. And we're very lucky we see our friends in our career.
Yeah, true.
Yeah.
Very true, yeah.
So you're going to leave the other 3 on? Family, health, career?
Yeah, well, I can't turn those 2 off. I can't. I mean, if I turned anything off, it'd probably be health. Like, I mean, reluctantly. I can't turn family off, you know, I've got a son.
Yeah.
So it's just like, yeah.
It's good. I feel like you've hated this. I feel like you're going to walk out here going, yeah, I shouldn't have said yes to this hour.
No, not at all. You're just making me. I was just having this big thing of reflection, not about the podcast, but I was just like, it just got me. Yeah, I was just like, yeah. I was just thinking about how much I do sacrifice friends and family already for career and stuff, and.
Well, I'm glad I could be of service, David.
Yeah, thanks. I'm in an existential crisis.
Are you doing a show? You're doing a show?
I am.
Yeah. What's it called?
It's called Not So Funny Now, is it?
Right.
Which feels appropriate after this.
You're doing it at Comedy Republic?
I am doing it at the Comedy
Melbourne?
Republic, yeah.
And are you taking it anywhere else in the country?
I am. I'm going to be in Adelaide next week.
Yep.
I'm not sure when this comes out.
You'll be in Adelaide when this comes out.
Okay, great.
Yep.
So I'll be in Adelaide, and then I'll do Melbourne, and then I'll do Sydney, and immediately after. Actually, I say in May, but it's actually in April, and immediately after the festival, and then Brisbane Comedy Festival.
So if you're in any of those cities, make sure you go see Damien, one of the best in the country. I'm doing my show, 4 Burners, in the Melbourne International Comedy Festival. Also doing it in Launceston, April 5, at part of Fresh Comedy. So if you're in Launceston, come on down. It'll be the world premiere, they want me to say. It's this.
Brilliant.
It's the first time I'm doing it, guys.
It doesn't feel like it, yeah.
I'm also doing 4 Don't You Know Who I Am's in the Melbourne Comedy Festival as well. So that's Saturdays at 3 o'clock at Morris House Basement Comedy Club. So tickets for all these are at joshearl.com.au. Thank you, Damien, for doing this.
Thanks so much for having me, Josh.
I've had a great time. Cheers.
Thanks.